if the sentence starts with, well, Jim Wood says, the argument's usually over. You know, there's that sort of validity, credibility attached to the work he does. It's not one wild opinion out there. It is the considered opinion that we all have our ear to, right? We're all anxious to hear what Jim has to say about it.
He appears in the paper periodically, and it's always on a new study he's done. And if you're in the business or closely related, you read Jim's articles.
I tell people that Jim Wood is the most prominent, accomplished, outstanding researchers in the housing, construction, and real estate industry. He's authored over 100 articles on the Utah economy. So he is beloved by the economics community, he's beloved by the real estate community, and the reason that he is so valued is because he sheds so much light and understanding and helps people so they can make informed decisions. We have a stronger economy, a more prosperous state because of the research of Jim Wood.
And I don't know if Jim wants me to share this with the public, especially since we kept it secret for so long. But it was a dark, dreary night in a little sleazy bar, and Jim walked in. We looked at each other, and it was magic. And then, of course, he was too erudite for me, so we didn't stay together very long. Ha ha, that's a joke.
I first met Jim through his wife, Colleen Wood. She was a high school teacher of mine at Olympus High and taught anthropology. She was my favorite teacher. When I went to the University of Utah, my first major I picked was anthropology. A little bit later, I got to know Jim Wood and connected that they were connected. And he immediately became one of my favorite mentors and, local economist to help me learn and understand how the Utah economy works. It's now my privilege to work very closely with him at the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute. So my favorite school teacher ended up being married to one of my favorite economists.
I first met Jim when he did our first economic impact report on affordable housing. That was back in the 90s. And so I remember it was like my first kind of reality of what affordable housing was. I just started, going to the Utah Housing Coalition meetings, and I just remember being at the Capitol when we released the report and how interested many people were in terms of, the housing, how many jobs it created in terms of the investment in the housing, how many jobs were created not only on the first tier but the second tier. So, years have gone by, and, everybody loves to listen to Jim at, at conferences, and, really respects the work that he's doing. And so we tried to do another report just to update that first report we had done. And this was back maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and he kept saying, Tara, I'm too busy. I'll get to that. Okay, call me in 2 months. Because he was working on this other report, and it was the impediment report that the county had was working with him on, and that was an incredible report, and I still use it today. Love to see that one updated.
We've interacted with Jim on a contractual basis. He's done a lot of research for Salt Lake County and has provided a lot of insight, and he's also been able to mentor myself and some of my staff members. Oftentimes I'll pick up the phone and call him, or he'll call me, and we'll talk about what's going on currently in the area, or some studies that have come out that we both have interest in.
I have known Jim in a professional capacity truly for 40 years. Our firm used to be known as Prowse Wood. many years ago. The founding partners were Dick Prowse and Bob Wood, and they, when I joined the firm in the mid-70s, they already had quite a reliance on Jim's expertise and his work at the Bureau of Economic and Business Research. There was quite a just an extraordinarily high level of respect for the work Jim was doing even then.
First there was the fraternity when we were both undergraduates, and then we didn't see each other for a while. Jim went into the Army. I don't know. He served in Vietnam. And when he came out of the Army, he decided to go back and get econ degree. And so we started taking classes together inadvertently, but we sort of hooked up there. And after that, he went, let's see, I think he went with Senator Moss, but I'm not sure. But the next time we crossed paths was at the Bureau of Economic and Business Research. He was on staff. Thane Robeson was the director. And frankly, Jim got me a job there. And we became office mates. So we officed together for about 2.5 years. And then I left, went off to Prowsewood. And Jim stayed and subsequently became director of the Bureau before he moved over to the Institute. So we've been together, knowing each other for 50 years. It's been a long time.
You know what the needs are. You know what the needs are. Anybody walking through town knows what the needs are, but bankers who are giving you money, they don't go on your gut feelings. They like to have statistics, and Jim had all of that, so he was awfully good.
He's very conscientious, more so than anyone else I know. When we would review those, his was by far, more detailed, more local knowledge, more understanding of local business trends and housing trends and apartments. And so I think his conscientiousness and diligence is really what sets him apart.
Something that goes beyond just the quantitative side of his work, or the work that I know him for. Jim has a real keen sense of what's good and what's bad, where the opportunity may be to do better as an industry.
Within a couple months, he came back to us and says, you know what? It's starting. And so he did another report, he did a research on it, and we were able to, work with him and Pamela Atkinson to get a meeting with the governor to talk to him about, really what he saw in terms of what was coming down on the foreclosure issue. And we were able to get the governor's attention and receive $1.8 million in a grant to be able to help 9 different agencies, do the work on the ground to help people have a positive exit out of foreclosure. So that report was really instrumental in getting the support of the governor.
He's a very important voice for affordable housing in the state. He was one of the first to really, through his research and efforts, to recognize the need for affordable housing and really get involved, not only on the development side, but also working with Salt Lake County and home funds and things like that. So it's been wonderful to have him.
When I used to run the Housing Authority, we knew of him and would read his articles, and we would see his studies, and being involved with the advocacy groups and getting to know Jim. And then when we branched out and started building housing, he was just a natural, because any developer does studies before they build something. And so we had Jim, I can't remember how many studies he did for us, but he would do studies so we could figure out the part of town and if the demographic we were looking at was the right demographic.
I can't tell you how committed he is to his family. He is amazing. I always say he does more for his family than any other person I know for their family. He's involved with his daughter, his granddaughter, his daughter's children. He is every day involved with his family, every day.
It'll be great to see how he responds to this, because Jim doesn't like notoriety. He's somewhat a soft-spoken person, and it'll be great to see his reaction on this. Jim is probably one of the few people I know that's had a beard longer than I have. And that's going back quite some time, so, and I don't know if I've ever seen him without one. So Jim has beat me out on the number of years that we've worn beards.
Well, when he was a student, and I was a student, and we were a graduate student, but we would skip out and play golf a lot. And one day, I believe it was his wife found out that we weren't studying as much and just really playing a lot of golf. And so that was funny. She had a comment then, Colleen, she had a comment.
It really starts with Jim. I mean, he's just such a cat, right? I mean, he's a cool guy. I mean, Frank Sinatra kind of cool, you know, with a beard. He just, what a marvelous person he is, beyond the work he does. He's somebody you want to have lunch with, you know. Just, it's my treat to call him both my friend and business associate.
He's very quiet. You don't know about him. He'll come to a board meeting or something and stay in the background and be very quiet. And but his knowledge level was just amazing, and we all really enjoyed working with Jim because he didn't have an agenda. He didn't get into the political side of whether you should build in this neighborhood or not. He just gave us cold hard stuff, which is what we needed.
At the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute, we have about 28 employees. Jim is the Senior Research Fellow, the Ivory Boyer Senior Fellow, and he ends up being sort of the statesman, if you will, at the Institute. He's a very kind person, very approachable, likes to mentor people, and often is the one that raises his hand and reminds us how fortunate we are to live in this state, to work at the University of Utah, and to do work that helps improve the community. So when I think of Jim, I think of somebody who lifts people, inspires people, and makes us all want to be a little bit better. I like to think of Jim as a real gentleman. It's just feelings from my heart.
Well, Jim, from all of us here in Salt Lake County, and I know you work a lot with Randy, and he'll be excited about learning about this award bestowed upon you. And again, congratulations. And I know it's been mentioned before that you do have, it's more than a job to you in the work that you do, because you really do care about the low-income people and the needs for affordable housing. And appreciate all the work you've done, and you've provided a lot of information and good advice, so appreciate it, and congratulations.
If he hadn't been here, it would have set affordable housing back in this state years. So he's really been a vanguard to doing that, and so I congratulate him. Congratulations, Jim.
But most of all, Jim, I am so happy that you're receiving this award. I cannot think of a better person to receive this. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Jim. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I know that you'll continue. So, right on.
Jim, I am so excited about you receiving this award. It's very well deserved. I'm so proud to work with you, and you inspire me every day. Congratulations.
Jim has done as much for the housing industry as anyone I can think of. And this award is exceptionally, wonderfully, in an unqualified way, deserved. And I want to congratulate you, Jim. Thank you.